Now it's going to sound like crap, but you're going to hear me. No, I don't want to drop back out and come back in because that screws everything up. Yeah, a lot of people have mentioned there's no audio, but I just switched to a different microphone. Is there audio now? Gotcha. There it is. But I'm using the wrong microphone. So let me try to switch back to. Okay, so there's audio there. So let me switch back to my good microphone. This microphone. And I don't know why. Okay. What happened was nothing, gone again, not working, yada, yada, yada. What happened was no sound, but there's sound now because I switched back to my. It's good now. But the problem is you're going to hear this because I'm using this microphone right here. So I apologize. And I don't know what's going on. What I tried to do was send it back to Amazon. What I tried to do was I tried to get everything all set up ahead of time because I wanted to sneak over and go to church. And Jason Gassa just saw me at church. He knows I was at church. He could verify I was at church. But what I had to do was get everything set up ahead of time, come in at the last minute, plug everything in. And for some reason, it didn't like my setup. It didn't want to let me use the microphone, this one right here that I always use. And I can hear it. I can hear it in my ears. So for some reason, it wants me to use a different mic. And I hate to do it because you're going to hear every time I touch my computer. Al, you still can't hear me? Jim says it's good now. Al says a kid. Corey is out on Lake Michigan. Excellent. Have fun. Good evening. How are you? Mad Jack, nice to have you along with us. Dan, always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us on this edition of Wednesday Night Live. For some reason, audio problems. That's what I get when I try to go to church and sneak over here at the last minute. We want the mic we've always had. I can't give it to you. It won't, for some reason. YouTube is. There's nothing I can do about that, Cliff. That's just the way it is. Al says, I got you now. Tommy says, good evening. Sherry checking in from Main Street, Midland. I bet it's nice down there tonight. So I will be curious to see how this audio sounds. If I don't touch anything, no keyboards or anything, it's going to sound all right. But the minute I touch a key, or the minute I brush against this, or the minute I bring my papers in here, the audio is going to sound like crap. But it is what it is. Anyway, Mike is over in Manistee going charter first thing in the morning. Excellent. Have fun. Matt said, I have my laptop at 100% pretty low, but I can hear you. I'm just in the right mood tonight where I might just say to hell with it and walk away from it. That rifle is looking pretty sweet, isn't it? Let me check one more time. I really don't unplug it, and I'm going to plug it back in, and I'm going to try to go to that microphone one more time, okay? I'm going to do one more switch over to my settings, audio. Let's try to go to Try. I was using my phone. I was going to try using my phone mic, but it didn't want to do that either. So this is what it is. This is what we're going to stick with. Sound dropped again. You know how much I hate bad audio, but for some reason, it's not going to let me do this tonight. So we're stuck with the audio on my laptop. So that's what it is. Cliff says he saw that Chevy truck last Friday when you passed me on I-75. You were going a little faster than the speed limit. I was not, Cliff. I was not going faster than the speed limit. That truck has a governor on it. I can't go faster than the speed limit. Brian says he'll be up setting up cams on the property Labor Day weekend. We are leasing it again this year. Brian James was out there. He sprayed off some food plots. He put new batteries in the cameras. Jim checking in from Tennessee. Mike, Michigan Outdoorsman, how are you? Larry at Rabbit Homestead, he says he's at 50% audio and it's fine. So it is what it is. Mike, does Jay's have any crossbows going on sale anytime soon? I'm in the market and plan on getting one the next couple of weeks. I don't know if there will be a sale in the next couple of weeks. What I did was I bought a bow that was 2 years old. It was a brand new bow, but it was two model years old, and I saved a few bucks that way. It still was not cheap. You'll get it for the next. I will. Audio is always rock solid on this. For some reason tonight it wasn't. And again, I'll tell you what happened. Usually I come in here about 1:45 and I set everything up and I take my time and I go through it all. I haven't been able to go to church Sunday mornings lately. We have a Wednesday night service and it's at 6 o'clock, and I really needed to go to church today. So I set everything up with my audio, my mic, my laptop, everything before I left, thinking that I could come in here tonight at the last minute, put my phone in the in my holder, which is actually my camera, and click live, and it would be good. It didn't work out, but still, I got to go to church, so I'm okay with that. Mike checking in from Marlette. Hello, Ed. How are you? Just finished up crag legs for dinner. How's the Skinny Water? Skinny Water's done. I'm done for the summer. I made my last fishing trip last Thursday. I went out there by myself just to see what I could find, and I found nothing. I couldn't catch a fish in Skinny Water, and if the fish are in there, I feel pretty confident I can catch them. So a week ago tomorrow, I went out. I couldn't catch a fish in Skinny Water. I was going to run out to deep water. As I'm running out, I marked a bunch of fish, so I stopped at about 14 feet of water. Couldn't get those fish to go, so I kept trolling out deep. Got out to about 22 feet of water. Couldn't get anything to go there. Turned around, trolled back in towards shore, and in 14 feet of water, I had PWC light, a precise walleye crank light, 85 feet behind the board, which means it was scraping bottom, and I did manage to get a fish, one fish. And I mean, I talked to other guys who said it was abysmally slow too. You can get walleye on Saginaw Bay right now if you go out to deep water. That's too far of a run for me. I'm always done August 1st anyway. Usually I'm done August 1st because I'm getting ready to go on a bear hunt. Bear season starts in Ontario tomorrow. I'm not in Ontario. I'm here in my office at my house. But that's okay. Right, the good news is I made it to church. Absolutely. I needed to go to church tonight. And that's actually what I'm going to start doing. I'm going to start going to Wednesday night services, leaving a little bit early, and just hoping my audio is better from now on. Thank you. Tim says, God doesn't mind the bad audio. Barry, that's not good. He's tuning in from Covenant Hospital. I never like to hear when people are tuning in from the hospital. I'm glad you're with us. Cliff says, trying to get food plots in, broke both tractors, waiting for the shop to call and say when it's fixed. Got any good bears on camera? Johnny told me I can't talk about them. However, I can tell this story. Yesterday, Johnny went out to start a bait. He put bait out. By the time he got back to the truck, 6 minutes later, his phone was dinging that there was a bear on the camera. From the time he started the bait till the first bear came in, was 6 minutes, documented on the cellular trail camera. Ruben, how are things in Colorado? Michael says, hey, I came in late, having a hard time hearing you. That is just what I need to let me know that it's time to call this a night. If you can't hear me, I'm not going to do this. Craig, we went out the day after you did some deeper water, marked fish all day, high, low, and middle, no takers. Kevin checking in from the West Branch Country Club. Evening, Brian. How are you? Yeah, all I need is one more comment that says your audio sucks, we can't hear you, and I'm done. Because I hate bad audio. I hate bad audio. Once you switch, I go hear you from that point forward. Once you switched, I can hear you. Tommy says I can hear you good. Everybody else can hear me. Let's keep going. I agree. Too hot in Colorado, huh? Craig says the audio is fine. So let's continue on then. YouTube for me doesn't sound any different. I don't know how it all works. YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter will all sound exactly the same because I'm using the same audio equipment to get it to you, whether it's this mic that I normally use or the mics here in my laptop that we're using tonight. Hey, Steve, good evening. How are you? Yes, Ed, Johnny did say it was your bait because it was a really small bear. So that bear that came in 6 minutes after he baited it, he said, tell Bolanowski this is his bait. And then he sent me a picture of the bear, and it's about 100 pounds. So I think that was your bait. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Elk season 3 weeks in Colorado. Excellent. Bob, good evening. How are you? Hey, my name is Mike Avery. This is Wednesday Night Live. We're having a little bit of an audio problem tonight, but I got to go to church before this, so it's all good. Some things I want to talk about. I just mentioned the fact that I went out fishing, and I didn't get skunked. I didn't get skunked all summer, but my last trip proved to me that it was my last trip of the summertime season. Time to start moving on to something else. I got my fall turkey tag, which I don't think is any big deal. I think anybody who applied for the fall turkey tag got a turkey tag. And I think maybe if there are leftover tags, you can go buy one. So that's no big deal. Cicadas are buzzing like crazy at my house and pretty much everywhere I go right now. They're buzzing like crazy. All right, can somebody help me out with this? I brought this up this morning. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate that. I brought this up this morning on Behind the Mic. I'm seeing a lot of maple trees changing color already. Why is that? If the trees in general are supposed to change their color based on the amount of daylight, it should be consistent from year to year. But why are the maples turning early? It's not because we've had drought conditions, because we haven't had a drought. Maybe somebody can help me out. Let me know. Tommy says they're turning at his place too. Heidi said it'll grow in a month. It will. It'll grow 7 pounds in a month. Cliff says that prototype AQ looks awesome. It does. I'm going to get to that next. Northern Lights. Speaking of Mother Nature, did you see the Northern Lights the last few nights? I didn't. By the time I realized they were out there, the next night I went and looked for them and it was already over. So I did not see the Northern Lights, but I heard I saw pictures and video. Pretty impressive. Now, that Angler Quest prototype. I posted pictures of that here on my Facebook page. Mr. Angler Quest Brad Dupuis also posted pictures over on the Angler Quest Owners Group Facebook page. Pretty sweet, isn't it? Pretty sweet, especially that workstation at the back of the boat. We should see those. We should see that prototype on the water in the next couple of weeks. Jeremy says they're changing a little bit in the UP. I have a maple tree in front and the leaves are starting to fall. So what is it with maple? Larry, Rabbit Homesteading says stress will do that. Overwater, underwater, disease, pest. Basically, stress will cause trees to yellow too soon. So overwater, underwater, or disease. I hope it's not disease because I don't think we've had overwatering or underwatering. I hope it's not disease, Larry. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. He said he hears me just fine right now. Good, Michael, because you had me about ready to bail. Okay. Wednesday Night Live, Wednesday, September 18th at the Lumberjack Restaurant in West Branch. We're going to have another Wednesday Night Live. Now, original, I didn't want to do it that late in the season because by September 18th, bear season is open, early waterfowl season is open, small game is open. So I didn't want to conflict with hunting season. The week before that was September 11th, and I just couldn't bring myself to have a celebration and bring people together on 9/11. The weekend before that was the Wednesday after Labor Day, and that didn't seem like a good time to do it either. In hindsight, maybe I should have picked that week. But the fact remains, Wednesday, September 18th, 7 o'clock, live at the Lumberjack Restaurant. Would love to have you join me. Call 989-343-0892 for reservations. 989-343-0892 for reservations. Chris said he didn't see the Northern Lights, but did see some awesome meteor showers. Real respect. Kyle Green, Jeff, AJ Ryan, the Greenway Outdoors crew were awesome. And Gloucester battling bluefin tuna. What a blast with them aboard. Glad to be back battling walleye. Yes, they are in deep water. Your mic sounds fine, enjoying the show, Captain Darren. Thank you, Cap. Appreciate that. That Greenway Outdoors crew is a good group of people, aren't they? They're good guys. You're out in deep water, so I'm glad you're getting some fish out there. Tim says they will be there. Excellent. Japanese beetles eat maple leaves and put stress on his trees. Got 5 of them in his yard. I hope it's not those. The Northern Lights were great Sunday night, and I didn't start looking for them till Monday night. Tim says, this time I'm going to be done eating before you start. I'm not going to do that to you again, Tim. Hunter Joe says Sunday night. And it was Monday night when I finally realized what was going on, and I started looking for them. I'm surprised nobody's asked who's on the radio show this week. Adam Lewis is my first guest. Now, you right? I'm going to try not to do this because that's going to drive you crazy. I'm going to put it down. I'm not going to touch it. Adam Lewis of Deer IQ is my first guest this week. I had Adam on for a couple of reasons. Number one, to talk about how to be a better deer hunter, specifically how to use trail cameras. But the real reason I had him on, to be honest with you, is he, like everybody else in the deer world, is interested or even fascinated in the Rampolla buck. I find it interesting that 25 years later, so many people who never met Mitch are so invested in this, and they have no idea whether it's true or not. I know Mitch, and I really don't know if it's true or not. I used to be convinced that it absolutely was. Now there are a couple things that make me wonder. I'm still leaning towards the fact that it is a legitimate buck, and Mitch is definitely the best deer hunter I've ever met. So Adam took this whole thing one step further. He went to Mitch's house and knocked on the door. Mitch didn't answer, but Adam left him a note. Now, I have called Mitch 3-4 times and offered the opportunity to talk, not about that buck, but just about life in general and deer hunting in general, which is the same thing Adam wanted to do. He didn't respond to me either, but I thought that was pretty cool that Adam Lewis did that. Then Paul Perone of Versaskins. Versaskins will be at the Woods and Water Show the 6th, 7th, and 8th of September in Imlay City at the Eastern Michigan Fairgrounds. Also, Versaskins is now on Amazon. So you can find them on versaskins.com, versaskins.com, or do a search for Versaskins brand. All right, Tim, have a good night, buddy. This week, I already heard and sound like it'll be a great one. Excellent. Evening, Randy. How are you? Already heard about it. Hour number 2, Rich Krazan of Killer Food Plots. Time to get your fall, time to wrap up getting your fall food plots in, right? Jeremiah Bow from the Michigan DNR on their hatchery system. This week's Ask Avery question, coming back to that in a minute. Lance Valentine joins me in the 3rd hour. Sir Lancelot. Lance said, Mike, I really want to be on the show. I want to talk about forward-facing sonar. And I said, Lance, I've talked to a lot of people about forward-facing sonar. If you can guarantee me, Lance Valentine, that this will be the definitive discussion on forward-facing sonar, we'll do it. He said, yes, it will be the definitive discussion on forward-facing sonar. And I think it was. And then we wrap it all up with Wild Game Chef Extraordinaire Dixie Manor. This week's Ask Avery question. Dan Fay. Mike, I love your radio show. I listened to it when we were up north in Clare County. Wish you had a radio network to carry your outdoor magazine in Southeast Michigan. I live in Wyandotte. What's the chance you could get your show on WJR, 1270 AM, or 97.1 The Ticket, etc.? Dan Fay. Slim to none. Because they want me to pay for airtime, and I'm not paying for airtime. The good news is, folks in Southeast Michigan can still follow me online. Things like this, my Behind the Mics, my Wednesday Night Lives, the podcast version of the radio show. So it's all good. Hey, Sal, how are you? A lot of lawn mushrooms are actually maple tree root parasites, and they can do it. They stressed and killed your neighbor's silver maple. I wasn't aware of that. Huh. Well, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, Sir Lancelot. I'm hoping that Lance heard me set this whole thing up when I said that, Lance, the only reason I will do this, the only excuse to do this would be if we can call it the definitive forward-facing sonar conversation. And Lance said, yeah, we can do that. Craig said, did Lance convince you to buy a forward sonar unit for next year? No. No, he didn't. I don't think he had to convince me. I think I'm probably going to anyway. I told Lance, this year my splurge was buying new golf clubs. And I'm glad I bought them. I think my splurge next year is going to be fishing gear. I need some new rods and reels desperately, and I would like a forward-facing sonar. Hey, Bernie, how are you? Been a while. Yeah, planted a huge food plot early, and it's full of a lot of deer every night, including quite a few respectable bucks. Bernie, if you would send me the coordinates for that piece of property, and then along with that, a note giving me permission to hunt that property, I would appreciate that very much. Look who this is, my sister-in-law, Kimmy. Hi, Kimmy, how are you? Jeff, good evening. Nice to have you along with us on this edition of Wednesday Night Live. Craig, do you have forward-facing sonar on your boat, on your Angler Quest? Doug Ward is testing some cool sonar stuff. That's what Lance was telling me. Teaching fishing. An inexpensive option if you want to get started. There's the link right there. And I think that's the new Lowrance 9-inch unit that Lance was talking about that was just unveiled at the ICAST show. Hey, Jeff, good evening. How are you? How's retirement treating you? Brent Schinkel, BAS Custom Rods. How are you, buddy? Well, that was another point, Sal. Southeast Michigan, the stations down there, because their airtime, they consider it so valuable, and it is. But you know what? Airtime in Marquette is valuable. Airtime in Saginaw is valuable. Airtime in Lansing is valuable. All the stations I have valuable airtime. But none of them demand that I buy airtime, because I won't. I vowed, after being charged exorbitant rates for the TV show, I vowed never again to pay for airtime for anything. So I don't pay for airtime for the radio stations. The stations in Detroit, and I've been on in Detroit at 2 different stations over the years, they say, we'd love to have you on, but we want you to pay. And I'm not going to do it. But like Sal says, all it would take would be a half a dozen people to call the program director of one of the stations in Detroit, and I bet you we could make it happen. And it doesn't have to be a WJR, it doesn't have to be the ticket. It can be a 3rd-tier station, just something to get me in the market. But in the meantime, folks in Southeast Michigan can listen to the podcast. I'm doing great. Brett. All right, Chris, I appreciate you checking in from Kansas every week. Scott, good evening. How are you? Working and rebuilding. Gotta love this easy living retirement stuff. Is it November yet? Jeff, even if it was November, you would go to the UP and you'd be there for 2 weeks and you'd see 6 wolves and 1 deer. And you know it. You hunt as hard as anybody I know. Speaking of the UP, you may have seen the pictures I posted on Facebook. My Brenton 350 Legend came with a very, very nice scope, a Leupold scope, a 1 by 5.5 by 20. After hunting with that scope for 2 seasons, I decided it's not doing me any good. I can't get enough magnification. I can't, if a deer was 100 yards away, I just. So I bought myself a Vortex straight wall BDC compensated reticle Crossfire 2 scope. Like $150 is all. Those things used to be like 250, two and a quarter. So I bought it. And I think it's going to work out great. If you sight it in at 100 yards, and this is with a 16-inch barrel and a 150 grain bullet. Now I'm shooting a 180 grain bullet, but I have an 18-inch barrel, so I think it's going to be close. If you zero in at 100, your next hash mark on the reticle is 150. It's supposed to be 100, 150, 200, 250, yada yada. In reality, they said it's closer to 100, 150, 230, 280, and 340. I'm not going to be shooting that far. But I like it. I did put the suppressor on. I started thinking, I'm going to be bear hunting with Johnny in just over a month here. So I got the scope. I put the suppressor on. Next thing is to go get that thing dialed in at 100 yards. So yeah, I'm getting ready. Am I getting ready for bow hunting? Scott, I love to bow hunt, but I got to be completely honest. I just can't get excited about deer hunting. I just can't. I wish I could. I can get outrageously excited about bear hunting. I can get super excited about turkey hunting. I just couldn't give a rip about deer hunting. I do it because I should do it. I do it because it's a part of our state's history and tradition. I do it because it's a part of my family history and tradition. I do it because I should be out there in the fall hunting. But I can't get excited about it. There's too much crap around deer hunting today. And I have let it steal my joy over deer hunting. And I shouldn't, but I did, and that's where I'm at. I will go out there. I know darn well that I will not shoot a buck this year. You know why? Because I won't get a shot at a buck this year. I'll be lucky to take a doe this year. I didn't take a doe last year. Because the area where we hunt, they bait around us, and all the deer are drawn to the surrounding properties. I can't hunt over bait. I wish I could. I'm a fan of hunting over bait. I think we should allow baiting for whitetails, especially in the counties in the Lower Peninsula that don't have disease. But the NRC decided not to look at that part of the DMI, Deer Management Initiative proposal. So, anyway. Let me go back here. Backyard this afternoon, shooting at 20, 30 yards crossbow, 75 arrows. I'll tell you what, Tim, you keep shooting like that. If you've got one of the new high-tech, very powerful crossbows, you're going to need new cables and strings. I shoot mine enough that I had to replace. I got my bow a year ago in the springtime for turkey season, and I shot it enough that by the fall deer season, I had to replace the strings and cables. And they were like $150, but they don't tell you that. Patrick, good evening. How are you? Tommy, where'd you go, Tommy? Good times at deer camp. I don't have a deer camp to go to. Closest thing I have to a deer camp is opening morning, and I do enjoy it. When on the lease property, I go out there. My son James goes out there. My granddaughter Addison and my grandson Trent. Hopefully, all four of us can go out there. Trip to Africa, Jeff. My days of going on big trips are over. Johnny put bow blinds at 30 yards. So is the gun blind going to be at 15 yards the Upper way? Here's the thing about Johnny, Craig. He doesn't know distance. Great guy. He's a great bear hunter, but he can't tell distance. So I told him this year, I said, use a rangefinder so I know how far the shot's going to be. Oh, by the way, I am going to hunt bears with that 350 Legend. I decided to do that. I might be able to get you. Don't worry about it, Brian. I appreciate the invitation, but I'm not invested enough to ask you to put yourself out. I do appreciate it, though. There's the man himself right there. Johnny Bowler, we were just making fun of you. Me and Craig Plowman, we were talking about how far is the shot going to be. I said, who knows? Because Johnny can't tell distance. Tommy. Excellent, Tommy. I'm so glad to hear that. For those of you who still share the passion for deer hunting, I'm envious. I'm jealous. God bless you. Don't let it go away. I wish I could get it back, but I can't. I will be out there, sitting in a tree stand, sitting in a ground blind, knowing that I'm not going to get a shot at anything, knowing I'm not going to see anything, but I'm out there. Uncle Johnny, how are you, buddy? How's Aunt Debbie? We need to get together, but you know that. I heard you two. My rangefinder is broken. It looks like it's 17 yards. 17, 50, 75. It's all the same to you, Johnny. I think I got a spare rangefinder around here. I should send it to you. What I would like, Johnny, even though I'm hunting with a gun, 40, 50 yards. I mean, you know, you can shoot a bear at 200 yards with a gun, but who wants to? I want it to be up close and personal. That would be nice. 17 yards. Who are you kidding? Johnny says, I like to point and shoot. If you get them close enough, you just raise your gun or your bow and you can't miss them, right? You need to come to our fall event on Lake Erie. Consider this an invitation. I appreciate that, Lance. Very much. I do. Scott. Best of luck to you this hunting season, Mike, whatever quarry you're after. Thank you, Scott. Right back at you. I will be after a bear. Now Johnny Bowler is not on the show this week, but he's on next week. And Johnny, one of the questions I'm going to ask you is, when I said online that I had the third season, people went, oh, that's not a good season. Success rates are really low. I'm going to ask you, Johnny Bowler, on the record, on the radio show, is that true? And what do you do to increase your success rate during the third season? I know from talking with you what you do, but I want to silence the naysayers that say, oh, third season is not going to be successful. I love 40 to 50. Bears tend to come in close to dark sometimes and you can still see them. I like that, Johnny. I like that. I like that. We're on the same page, buddy. Of course, we usually are. 40 to 50. And that new Crossfire, that Vortex Crossfire scope I got from my Brenton, I wanted to get a 3x9x40. They didn't have any. So I got a 3x9x50 for the same price. Larger objective lens, gathers more light, better in low light. It's all good. Larry, best of luck with your cataract surgery. Maybe we won't need the scope. Thank you, Larry. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm going in Monday to get this eye right here fixed. I've already had this one done. Actually, I can't wait to get this done because that eye is not great, not real functional. So the cataract surgery, when they take the old lens out, put a new one in, will help tremendously. I'll probably still need cheaters of some form. And I do have a big floater in there they need to take out too, but that's a different surgery. You see, Johnny, you already said you weren't going to be here tonight because you were going to be going to Escanaba. Now you're here, and now you say you're leaving for Escanaba to see Escanaba in the moonlight at the Tracy Bird concert. Have fun, Johnny. Don't get in trouble. I can't have my bear guy ending up in jail 6 weeks before the season. Well, 6 weeks. We could get you bailed out before then. So anyway, just have fun. Hello, Dave. I used to have the passion for pheasant hunting and deer hunting, and over the years, passing of his dad and granddad, it all went away. The pheasant disappeared. DNR can't leave the deer season alone. I don't blame the DNR entirely for my lack of passion for deer hunting. I blame the culture that has evolved around deer hunting. That's what I blame. Do I wish the DNR would do things differently? Yes. Do I wish they would let us bait in lower peninsula counties that don't have disease? Absolutely. Absolutely. You want to see deer? You want to shoot deer? Listen, DNR, if you want us to kill more deer, give us the tools to do it. And I'm not talking about a 2-month long gun season. But I've made my thoughts very well known on that. And people will say, well, Avery, it's because you're not a very good hunter. Okay. All right. It's because I'm not a very good hunter. John says, I don't hunt bear, but it seems interesting. John, I'm telling you what, most of the people that I have introduced to bear hunting have fallen in love with it. And it's one of those things where, and you'll know right away, you're either like, that was okay, you're kind of indifferent, or you absolutely fall in love with it. There's something about bear hunting that gets me so excited. And maybe it's the fact that I don't see bears all the time. Like, I can drive around here tonight and I can see deer. I can't drive around here and see a bear. So every bear I see is a real treat. And judging the size of bears is a real challenge. Larry says, hey, Johnny, we'll help bail you out depending on how much fun you have. Matt says, just got his newest suppressor, 14 days start to finish. Excellent, Jason. Nice to see you. And Jason, again, Wednesday Night Live at the Lumberjack, September 18th, 989-343-0892 for reservations. Jeff says he never met a hunt he didn't like. I believe that, Jeff. I mean, you are hardcore. Even when I was younger, I don't know if I was as hardcore as you are. Oh, what else? I think that's going to wrap it up for tonight. 989-343-0892 for reservations. I was hoping to get Dixie Dave there to help cook like he did the last one. He can't. He's tied up on a catering event. I'm asking some of my advertising partners to join us, but that's a bad time. I mean, I knew, like Chris Durson of Rapid River, I said, Chris, can you come down? He said, I can't. I got bear hunters coming in. So I still want to put on a good show. We will still have a great meal. We will still have lots of great giveaway items. But it won't be a great event without you. 989-343-0892. 989-343-0892. Call the number. If they don't pick up, let it ring and ring and ring, and eventually an answering machine will pick up. Give them your name, the number of people in your party, and your phone number so we can confirm the event as we get closer. Dave. Yeah, it's getting harder and harder sometimes, isn't it? Well, see, Craig, that's where I'm at. And I'm not saying I'm the best hunter in the woods, but Craig nailed it for me. You can be the best hunter in the woods, but if the guy next to you puts out bait and draws all the deer in, game over. It is. Hey, twins. Patey, Rai. How you doing, guys? I was just over at Trinity. I saw a pastor. He said hi. All right, my friends. I think that's going to wrap it up. I apologize for the audio issues earlier. I don't know what happened. I had everything all set up. Like I said, at the last minute, 989-343-0892. Already in see you there. Excellent, Tony. Thanks for posting that. I had everything all set up. At the last minute, I went over to church. And this is what I'm going to start doing. I'm going to start going to church Wednesday nights and get back here just in time for this. We haven't had an audio problem in months. Tonight, there decided to be an audio problem. I will check it out. I will fix it. I will make sure it doesn't happen again. Jeff says, I agree with you regarding hunting culture. There's a mindset if you aren't all about hunting the entire season for one monster buck, then you suck. What's wrong with the guy who goes out 2 days a year and just wants to get a deer of any size? That's the mindset that, see, Jeff, this is exactly, you and I are on the same page. This is exactly why I can't get excited about deer hunting anymore. It's never big enough, or it's never enough. Yeah. Oh, you nailed it, my friend. Thank you. Lee, Dave. Hey, Joey, how are you? Okay, let me do something here. Boom. And you'll know it when you hear it. Yeah, it's the mindset. It's the culture. You know, we've got to have. It seems like no deer harvest is valid anymore unless you kill it in a food plot. You have trail camera pictures of the deer from previous years. You have sheds from previous years. You have passed it at least 3 or 4 other times. You made it your target buck, and you give it a name. If you do that, you can harvest the deer. If not, it's not a valid harvest. That's what drives me absolutely bonkers. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate that. Lee, always a pleasure. Hello, Steve. Enjoy the Maker's Mark. Uncle Johnny, what makes you think that there's a Maker's Mark in my people? Lance says, just go fishing. Lance, I threaten this every year. Every year, I threaten to do more fishing in the fall, and I never do it. Hello, Jerry. You won't see me there, Craig. Not Sunday morning. My daughter's baby shower is Sunday downstairs, so that's where I will be. Amen. Amen. All right, my friends. Have a great night. Thanks for joining me on this edition of Wednesday Night Live.